So my name's Deborah Riley and I was the production designer for season 4.
And my name's Michele Clapton and I was the costume designer for season 4.
And I'm Anette Haellmigk and I was the director of photography of 4 episodes for season 4, including the one we're going to see.
Have you seen this episode before?
I have seen this episode before.
Yes, I have. I did color timing on it.
Of course, you see it tons of times, yeah. I saw it once on my...
But it's always, when you watch it on television, when it airs, it's always different. There we just have his name.
I know that's probably the most exciting moment, I think, was when you first see your name in this extraordinary title sequence.
I know. There we are.
Oh! Yay! I think I'm somewhere, I don't know. I think a bit low down the order.
Yeah, they change the order every time. It's not always in the same place. Is it not always the same? No.
I think I'm earlier. I think it goes the other way, doesn't it? I'm earlier because it sort of goes to importance later on.
You're important. Come on. Look at your work. That does.
There's the Titan of Brothers.
Actually, quite often they don't put costume even on the front credits anyway. I really had to ask for it.
Really?
Yeah. It's usually at the back end on most of the TV shows.
Yeah,
on film,
but on
the beginning.
TV shows as well. But
on film, it's a beginning. On TV,
that's nice about HBO.
Exactly.
They give you print credits. That's why we love it.
The costume is one of the most extraordinary things.
My
Directed by Alex Graves.
Yay!
He did a great job, actually.
He did a fantastic job.
So this is Molestown, Annette.
Yes, I love Molestown.
Mud and rain and fake snow, and we were out in Toon in Belfast.
I missed
the set for Winterfell is just up the road.
Yes, it is. It actually is.
I think I was in Dubrovnik.
Oh, you were in Dubrovnik when this shot.
Scene. Yes, I'm sure there was something.
So here, Alex, when we were scouting, he said to me, "So, Annette, I want to shoot the entire sequence in one shot," and that's what we are seeing here. And I'm quite happy how it turned out.
And that's what I love. I love these long shots. I hate lots of it's edited and cut. I
think that's one of the beauties of the show, really, is that you really get a sense of the reality of what we're trying to create, and it's really effective when you're up so close.
It's so important. It's so important.
And this space we used as the Riverlands Inn in episode 1 that David and Dan shot, and then we repurposed it for Molestown for episode 8.
I love that actress. She was very cool.
I love the fact when every town we go to, we visit a brothel, but I love the way that they're all so different. Mm-hmm. And this is really the sort of skankiest brothel you could ever go to.
And in the art department, we all joke about it, as I'm sure you guys do, about we're doing another brothel. We're experts on brothels.
Exactly. But at least they have clothes on here a little bit.
Yes.
Yeah, we spend lots of time designing costumes for brothels that
barely exist.
All take off.
But Michele, whatever we see is pretty awesome.
There's a lot in the cupboard back home where it's not used, I think.
I will. Don't you ever touch it.
Still one shot. It's pretty.
I can't believe it. That's amazing.
Do you know, I didn't pick that up before.
No, I didn't either, Annette.
No, we didn't.
How many times did you have to shoot it?
It took us most part of the evening to do it all. Yeah.
I'm not surprised.
But I think we also shot some of what's coming on that night or day. Mm-hmm. Actually, that was shot during day. But we made it look like night. So here was the first cut.
Yeah. Wow. Amazing.
This is a great shot too that's coming up.
Yep.
I remember Alex prepping for it.
Oh.
And the attack begins. Those weapons are amazing too, aren't they? Oh, vicious looking things.
We kept them in the wildling costumes, but by this time of their south, we actually darkened. They're the same costumes, but they're turned inside out, so that they actually look different. As they climbed to the wall, they were in ice, and then they turned it inside out, so they blend better on this side of the wall. So So it seemed the thing they would do. They wouldn't have a change.
And what's it like to film all of this really heavy action, Annette?
What's it like? You just do one shot up to the next, and more shots than you think you do more shots than you think you can actually do. I love this shot.
I think she's such a strong
Great
actress.
really goes for it, doesn't she?
She is just amazing.
Mm.
There you go. How she looks.
Look at that, yeah. And I thought about this shot a little bit, because thinking, why did she let her go? But does she recognise her as a fellow wildling sort of stroke? I don't.
No,
It's
I
really
think it was
interesting.
just that she had the baby.
Oh, they had the baby.
And I love that, even though they are, wildlings, and they should kill everybody, that
There was a moment.
that she compassion.
Yeah, I was trying to think of all the different reasons, and
We just cower in here while they slaughter our brothers. Had orders to stay
Now,
at Castle
Deb, you're now in the mess hall, right?
We're in the mess hall of Castle Black, which for season 4 was actually filmed out in our Banbridge studios as opposed to up in Magramorn, where traditionally it had been shot. So for convenience and ease of shooting, it's inside a studio. And pretty much exactly as it has been seen previously, but just relocated.
Maybe she managed to hide herself. I thought all of you was dead. You went up north with Mormon and no one came back. Not for ages.
I miss so much of this because these costumes are so established. I tend to be elsewhere, so I don't I don't get to go to these places so often.
But that's the wonderful thing about them, is that they've become really iconic, haven't they?
I mean, yeah,
I saw something on the internet this week of, pugs dressed up as,
it was fabulous. I know, someone sent it to me on Facebook. It was
the
like
Jon Snow with these little, with his
they
armour
were
on. It was
such
gorgeous.
good costumes. They really were. I was really impressed. But yeah, there's nothing I can add to them really. They just stay, because why change? They can't change. There's no point.
They're not really show ponies, are they?
No, then the good balance to the true show ponies of the show.
But there's a wonderful sort of grittiness to them that I think is...
Yeah, I think they've got better over each season, just weathering in.
Whoever dies lost. Be a good lad. And burn
For this sequence, I had this little thing going on for all the scenes that were happening between Gilly and Sam, because there's a bit of a love story. I always try to bring in some warm light, usually like in Magramore or in Castle Black. It's always cool. So I brought in some warm light.
It's so nice that you all separately do that. I'll just try and bring a little warmth colour. You do it with light. It's really cool that we just do that, and it's so subtle.
But I think the thing that's most important, and certainly one of the things that was stressed to me when I started, was that we have to establish these worlds really clearly.
Yeah.
And so that's how we come to do all of these things.
So what's this story, guys?
Now we are in Croatia, and these poor people
We're
are
not in
this
Belfast now.
ice-cold water.
wasn't
It is
Macramore
so
then.
cold.
They asked me to body double, but I said no.
No. Well, you were busy that time. But this was an old mill or something, wasn't it, Annette?
It was an old,
remember.
and the mill is gorgeous. I mean, that was so beautiful.
Spying on you? No, not spying.
Here we are.
I love
And here we are.
It's so beautiful.
Beautiful, beautiful.
It really is stunningly beautiful.
I'm resisting the temptation to plait your hair now, but yeah,
Back off.
it's what we women do when we're left alone, plait each other's hair. But I'm really proud of Danny's penthouse and the way that it turned out.
I like the fact that it has an intimacy, although it's actually quite cavernous. It was just, I really like your references, and when we first looked at it together, I just thought it was really, really amazing.
I believe he was interested.
The thing that we spoke about a lot was just that if this is a pyramid city, then these people were amazing engineers, and architects, and how could we reflect that in the sets? How could we make sort of monolithic structures? And then, for Annette, obviously, how do you light these things that traditionally have such thick walls? How do we pierce the light into these rooms? So we had to come up with some sort of many and varied solutions.
Yeah, it worked out quite well, very well.
It was okay.
I'm very happy with it.
I just think it has such a different atmosphere, and as we're always saying, we have to create very different looks and feelings for different spaces, and that instantly you know that you're somewhere else. And it relates so well to the outside, I think.
Yeah.
The exterior, sorry.
Now in the awesome audience chamber, also, Deb,
Yeah, and I
your
think
contribution, which...
Oh, yes, well, yeah.
I think the thing that I'm really thrilled about here is that the room feels heavy.
Yeah, absolutely. And there's a coolness to it as well, which I really like.
Oh.
The lessons you give,
And it's funny, with the costumes here, I wanted to start creating an intimacy between Danny and Missandei. Just having these moments when they're actually, there's a sort of girlishness about them. And other times she's creating, now Daenerys is creating a look for the chambers. It's just developing her costume. She's actually finally in one place where we can see some diversity rather than being the warrior on the move.
And didn't Madonna wear her costume?
Yes.
What do you mean?
Madonna asked if she could actually have one of Dana's costumes to wear at one of her religious, whatever it is. What's it
I
called?
didn't know what the occasion was.
Yeah, it was. I can't remember what it was called. It was some sort of festival, and she borrowed one of Dana's costumes with the put plastic dragons on, and said her son was like touching it, going, "Oh my God, that's been worn by the actress." Oh, really? It was really sweet.
Does that mean Madonna is that little?
Yeah, she's tiny.
Really?
I think
Wow.
so. Yeah.
I think that's the thing that always stuns me about actors and actresses is they're always
like-
smaller than you imagine.
A bit like the Queen last week. She was tiny. Just dropping that in.
That's pretty awesome that the Queen came to visit our set.
Oh, she was so tiny. Felt like such a lump.
Did you speak with her?
Yeah.
Was she interested in your costumes?
Well, yeah. I mean, she's professional. You know, she's paid to be interested in people's work, really. And she was very generous
sure she
and
was
very,
genuinely
very. Yeah, it was amazing. Actually, it was a really, really great experience. Bizarre, but great.
Well, utterly extraordinary, you know. Particularly a show that's called Game of Thrones.
No, I know. They were saying, would she sit on the throne? It's like, no way.
And Crenny's going in there.
This set is very difficult to light, though, isn't it, Annette? It has a lot of challenges for you.
It has challenges, but in the end, I think we found a good solution for it. And
I mean, it looks
I
amazing
just love
there.
these angles. These are just so amazing.
I like the warm light at the back and the cool of Missandei at the front.
Now, where are we now?
We're in Cairn Castle, aren't we?
Yes.
I wasn't there on this day, but it was really, really cold and windy, wasn't it?
Oh my God!
I remember
it
when
was
you guys came back
so
in.
windy. I mean, it shows in the image. It looks so amazing, and it has a quality that you usually don't see. But it for sure was very hard to film that day. Especially, we'll see in a moment when
I was so happy
they'll go away.
It was, for me, it was so nice. I used a very light fabric there, so it does move. And
Yes.
but still, sometimes it
I
doesn't.
love the pleating at the top.
And it
Look
just
at it.
sort of ripples. I was so happy with the way it did that.
And it was also like, you know, when we were shooting it, because we have these tight angles, you only see the eyes of Theon with that costume. I felt like, you know, there's a vulture hanging over Theon, which I thought was great. And then the shades in that costume were just...
I love it actually when we do manage to work on set together, because we always try and we can be improvise quite a lot sometimes as well, which is really such fun. It's like freewheeling a bit, and I love doing that.
And look at that sky. That's a real sky there.
That's the real sky.
Really?
Oh, God. But when you stand out in Cairn Castle, it's always changeable out there, isn't it? Like, it's so cold no matter when you go.
We will go again. And this sequence is so beautiful, I think.
It's really well done, isn't it? We made this sort of marshy set out the front for the foreground. And then, you know, a big shout out to visual effects who sort of continued it.
They did the castle there, right?
Yeah.
I just love the contrast of this show. I mean, for me, this is my favourite, this sort of northern... It's cold, but it's warm, and there's a lovely sense to it. But I love to contrast it to the stuff that we shoot in Dubrovnik and Croatia generally.
That dead horse there is Bernie paid $3,000. Bernie Caulfield, our executive producer, paid $3,000 for our fake dead horse. And we moved him around so he got in shot, didn't we?
Yeah. So, the money was well spent and used.
It really gives you the feeling that Moat Cailin here is just
Yes, at the
toxic
end.
and dying.
Yeah. I think Alfie Allen was amazing this season. I mean, really.
He gives some incredible performances, doesn't
he
he?
really does. I think he's just fascinating. I love watching his face. He just gives so much.
I love his face too. Just the way the light reflects off his face.
It's
And that he
really
doesn't
quite
blink.
strangely
Yeah.
faceted almost, isn't it?
Very, very special.
Yeah.
And he doesn't blink.
By the drowned god,
And
what is dead may never die.
it's such a difficult character for him to play at the moment, I think. You know, he's so torn by many
Oh,
emotions.
I mean, come on, this guy has been okay. He's been a real terrible person in the first 2 seasons, and then he got it for it. So now he's suffering through it.
Outnumbered, and you're hundreds of miles from the sea.
This set was actually built in the old Harrenhal set and later became the Bear Pit previously, and then it became Caelan. So
Very thrifty.
being on this show sure does teach you the art of, reinventing.
Sure,
He wants us to surrender.
my own father, your king.
I'm not going to say where.
Oh, yeah. No, you don't.
But we do it.
No, you'd spoil the illusion.
And a couple of times we've been really caught out going, oh, we need to get that back. It's like,
It's gone.
it's gone. It's become something else. We have to, just by the sheer turnover of costumes. You can't just afford to just dump, you know.
And you have so many. Do you have any idea how many you create a season?
No, I don't actually.
It's probably better not to know.
I can't, yeah. I mean, hundreds, obviously, but maybe more.
Only a whipped dog would speak this.
How many sets did you have, Deb?
We had somewhere around 105 that we had money. It's absolute madness.
Before you started Game of Thrones, did you imagine that was possible?
No, and you would never ever think that you could create 10 hours worth of footage or 10 hours worth of entertainment in such a short amount of time. And such high quality work.
Yeah, I think that's it. As I say, I saw not this episode, the final episode on a big screen in Madrid a couple of weeks ago, and it held up on the big screen. It was television. And no, it absolutely held its ground on the enormous projected screen.
But I think that's the thing that's amazing about being on this show is that everybody really cares. Whether it's the
Across the board, I think. Yeah.
Absolutely. That's
And we have 2 crews, the wolves and the dragons, who work in parallel and often in different countries.
I was that strange wolf work abroad and dragons working.
Work at home.
It's the weirdest thing. The wolf is the hop. I don't know. But no.
But both
tough.
crews, there's
Yeah.
is there something like 700 of us when it's all going strong?
is it?
I think that's something like that.
Oh my god!
Oh, is that just set or is that everything?
I think that's
Everything.
sort of all in.
God.
Yeah.
I think I have about 100 in my department.
Yeah, you
Alone.
must, yeah.
But you've got masses in yours. I was happy with his. Sorry, just saying something. I just love
It's
the
all
way.
about you, Michele.
Yeah, he's on this particular coat, this particular shot. But I'm so happy with his fabric because it's just. Oh, I don't know. He's such a strange character too. I always like keeping his bright colours underneath and covered by this sort of. And it's really hard to explain.
He's very beautifully tailored too, isn't he?
Yeah, there's a precision to him, and there's just now and again you see a bit of flamboyance, and it's quite interesting.
I love his little mockingbird too.
Yeah, he's so proud of his sigil that he created himself, in his head.
Been a grubby job. Why not let a grub
This is one of my favourite. I always liked the Eyrie very much.
fawning over the
But do you remember this, Annette? This
I
set
sure
didn't
do.
exist.
This was so small.
Really?
No, because they were tearing down the Eyrie, so
Of course, yeah.
we had to create this overnight. It didn't exist
Yeah.
because you guys were shooting in the main hall of the Eyrie, weren't
Exactly.
you? And then
Right.
overnight, it was like working in the theatre. Pieces of flattage were flying everywhere, and the next day it became the Inquisition room.
I love this scene, like what Alex Graves did there, in terms of building up the suspense. Here's Littlefinger. He's like telling lies again or manipulating it, and then they, when she walks in, like it seems like
witness, a girl.
the table's turning, and
Yours, I believe.
like this shot that Alex shows that angle is so amazing.
Would like to speak with her.
And the set I really liked, and it turned out really, really beautiful. And
No need.
the characters, like the lady with that hair, and
I know. Look at her.
She was extraordinary, actually.
There you go.
This is quite a performance.
You're right. He built it in such a way that you actually finally think.
Now he's gonna get it.
Yeah.
Okay. And then it's such a interesting.
Yeah, he keeps
turn
quiet as well. I think that's.
But it's all in the eyes, isn't it?
She was. I think Sophie was great in this scene. I think she really.
I think she's amazing. Yeah.
Kitchen mouse, tell us what you saw.
And she's the most easy of people to be with, and she can just.
Is she?
Yeah, it's not a method thing. She just literally can be laughing and singing, and then she'll just focus and just turn out a performance which almost comes from nowhere. It's not as if she has to psych herself up for it. She just steps in and...
Well, I mean, you're in the extraordinary position of being with this show from day one. So you've watched these people grow.
Yeah, and she was this very young, naive girl when we met, and all of us at the time thought, where is this going? And I don't think she'd been in anything before.
Look at her now.
And same with, I remember her and Aria on the same day, meeting them and trying to spit. They were just like really going, what is this? What does this mean? And now look how they've both grown into such extraordinary extras, I think. And both so different.
But they're best friends outside of Game of Thrones.
They get on really well. I mean, I think they don't live nearby, but they see each other. I think we went to Glastonbury this weekend together.
Oh, yeah. Fantastic.
Beat me, they humiliated me, they married me.
This is such a moving scene. You're right.
I had no friends in King's Landing. Except one. He saved me. Smuggled me away when he had the chance.
You must just be quiet and watch.
I know, I'm sort of watching it.
I know.
My own blood, my Aunt Lysa.
And the lighting here, that's what I love again. It's just this really subtle, there's something just really beautiful about it. And the way that the light reflects off the costumes, and for me, selfishly again, but it just gives everything such a richness and depth.
But to me also, like, you know, how background, like set and costume and lighting come together. It's just nothing is like jarring. It's just all becomes one palette. And what's wonderful on Game of Thrones is actually we can use like strong light sources, just pour it into the room and let it happen, you know, and that makes it look very natural. And
because the way it cuts across some of those fabrics, it just it sort of gives, it highlights the
see
texture.
the texture,
yeah, and that's so important and so rare. I have
well,
to say.
I think being a female cinematographer, you pay maybe more attention to those details, which is not always welcome, but I appreciate that you both are welcoming it.
Oh God, I love it.
Because it's like, you know, there's everything makes the image.
No, that's what I'm saying. It's such fun working with you when you're on set, when I'm on set, because it's like, but we need a bit dark. It's like, yeah, we do. And I'm just running and trying to find it because you're actually almost painting a picture there.
Yeah. Right.
And I like that reacting to stuff. I think it's always really interesting. And you get a much more instinctive feel.
I feel the same way. Like, you know, yes, we're working on television, and we do have actually a television schedule with also not abundance of time to prep it. And I do like some about it because you have to be really spontaneous and you need to react in the moment, which is really, I like that.
Yeah.
Rather than, I mean, there's plenty of planning in it, but that you can react to it and see like, oh no, maybe I'll change that and I'll do it a little different.
I think we can create time within the schedule where it's needed.
Right.
And I think that's... And I mean, I think we all work quite quickly. We have to work quite quickly. So there is that sort of having something on hand, something that you can just shift, I think is good.
Look at her face.
I know. I love this. Look at...
Oh.
You could see it in the way she raised that boy.
Amazing.
From her own teats when he was 10.
And although the Eyrie had stood for quite a long time, this was the first time that
we used that part of it. Which we actually, it's on the lower floor, and we imply that it is on the upper floor because then they go on the stairs.
It's really cleverly done.
Yeah, that's great about Alex. He puts these things together. so well.
Well, he's very clever that way, isn't he? He knows how to work the camera.
And doing 4 episodes last year was pretty.
It was
punishing,
brutal.
That was
wasn't
pretty
it?
tough.
It was brutal.
That was very tough.
It's
And
intense.
yet I, for him and the results of all the 4 episodes that we've done is, I'm so thrilled and happy with them. And it's again comes down to like, okay, yeah, you have to like be so spontaneous, and everything that you decide has to happen right away. So you have to make the right decision. I think we did pretty good.
But I think also your history with Alex.
Exactly. That's also like, Alex and I have worked together for 17 years.
Yeah.
So I mean, on and off.
So it does become instinctive to a point.
And I think we are a really good team.
I don't think you could have worked so intensely with someone if
It'll
you didn't
be
know
for
them that
someone
well.
you just meet.
No,
I know.
no. The only way you could pull that off was with a good colleague.
Because we work in hand in hand. It's like, okay, I'm trying to do something, then I bring it to him, and then he can adjust the way he shoots something, which is, he has the ability to do that and confidence to do it. And because, we've worked together for so long.
You trust each other.
Yeah. And here we are.
Here we are in
Croatia, and actually you see the fog in the background?
Yes. I remember that day.
It was a terrible day.
It was
awful. We thought we might not be able to shoot, didn't we?
pouring rain, but it still looks like sunshine, so that's pretty good.
Yeah, it was really hideous, and we wondered if we could actually do it. And I was going, oh my God.
I remember I was travelling this day and Alex sent me a text message, just, with a photograph, and you couldn't see any of it. It was
you
just
couldn't see
complete
anything
whiteout.
Yeah, absolutely. And we waited for a while, and we were sitting around for ages with the actors, waiting and waiting.
And the thing is, you don't know whether it's going to clear or not. But it's so sad, isn't it, when you're sitting there and you're ready to go?
I know, and the
you
3
know
days
that
previous have
it's
been
just
beautiful.
ticking away,
And
yeah.
God, I need to get this.
Sir Barristan, Sir Jorah. Have I forgotten a council?
And now...
Yeah, Barristan's coming to Jorah.
Getting confronted with what he's been trying to hide for a long, long time. Again, lighting-wise, I loved, Deb, what you did on the ceiling, that light can filter through and, just control it so you know where it's going to fall, but it's broken up.
I think that's the amazing thing about having the ability to come back, because then you can learn and, adapt.
I just spoke to a friend of mine who's really very famous costume design for film, and she was just saying, I'm so envious because actually on your TV show you actually go back and get to do it again and refine it, and on film you so rarely do.
It's very true. I wouldn't have given any credit to it until I experienced it.
I mean, there are downsides, but that's very much an upside.
Absolutely.
Speak with her in private. You'll never be alone with her again.
I mean, for Jorah, he's this sort of proud, strong man. Obviously, has a history, but I've always really enjoyed putting that little bit of blue around his neck. It makes him seem so vulnerable, and so this weird, strange, sad allegiance he has to her. It's like he obviously adores her, and this is his badge of like the blue being her colour. And it's like when she now just gets it, you just see it so strongly at his neck, and it makes it even more tragic that she doesn't see how much he really does. Love is the wrong. Well, yeah, he does love her, but actually, how loyal he really is to her.
This scene is painful in terms of the breakup, and
it's horrendous.
Explain it to me.
Who do you think sent this to Marine?
It shows her youth.
Prophets. This is the work of Tywin Lannister. He wants to divide us. If we're fighting each other, we're not fighting him.
The pardon was signed the year we met. Why were you pardoned?
He's put it on when he
made the connection.
I know that's it. He put it on when he sort of. It's almost just. I think it was just after he stopped her being poisoned, and then he started. And it was his tribute to her. It was a badge of his adoration of her, really. And he always wears it. It's sort of this ethnic thing.
It's really sweet, isn't it?
And it's sort of. And when all this comes out, it's just. It makes you quite sad.
How much do you work with the actors and their costumes?
A lot, yeah.
They contribute a lot?
Yeah, I work with them on their costumes. I mean, I have the ideas that I want to do, but I mean, I wouldn't put anything on someone that they didn't feel comfortable and they didn't agree with and that we didn't talk about. And it just talks through their characters and the directions and what something might say, for instance, that, and we'll talk about some different handwriting. And just, yeah, it's a dialogue.
Yeah.
And usually it's fine. I can't actually think of a time when it hasn't been fine. But they'll bring something as well. They'll say, actually, it's really important that I wear this now. And,
right.
And then we just take it from there, really. The only thing I usually complain about is the weight of costumes sometimes.
Do you get complaints about the heat, when they're standing
Yeah, but it's difficult. You get complaints when we're filming interior in Belfast and it's freezing cold. Can we have something hot, warmer? Right. And then you film the exterior and it's really, really hot. It's like, well, you can't have it both ways, guys. And also, I think a lot of courts wear heavy costumes even when they're in hot countries. It's a sort of sign of
power and authority.
And so...
And wealth.
Exactly, so that's why we do it.
Ever presume to touch.
Where I feel like she's making a shift, a couple of times we've seen her mad side.
Yeah.
And here again I see it and it's...
She's a Tagaran.
Yeah.
That look there, isn't it? Yeah. And he's so crushed.
You feel for him, don't you?
You do. And I don't always like him as a character.
No.
Actually, he irritates me sometimes. Because you go, come on, stop
please.
being such a macho man. But there, you just suddenly get.
Here, the beautiful marine.
Another shout out to visual effects and their extraordinary Milanese landscape.
Pretty impressive, isn't it?
And here he is riding off.
I know. Oh. On Camilla's fabulous horse.
She's pretty fabulous as well.
I know. Is she the fourth female head department? How many are there? Fourth? I don't know.
There's a lot of women on this show. It's fantastic.
A lot of women, yeah. Very much so.
Considering it's so violent and perverse in every way, there's a lot of women involved.
Yeah.
Here we are in Cairn Castle again, right?
We are, yeah.
Yeah, now this is where it gets windy, and that's where it was like, oh my God. I couldn't take it. It was like, I can't take this wind anymore.
That's the problem with your job, you can't leave.
Yeah, you can't, can you?
But, what came out of it, it's just like, you can't create that, it's... Even what's happening to their faces, they're freezing. Something's happening to their faces. It's cool.
But I think that's amazing, isn't it? Because you do get those incredible performances.
Yeah.
They look cold because they are
cold. Look at his, you're right. He's frozen, isn't he? Yeah.
He's acting through it, isn't he? Yeah.
Tell me what you see.
It's pretty brutal to be on set all the time, isn't it?
Yeah, it's pretty tough. But, I love it.
Yeah. You're the sort of cold face, really, aren't you? You're having to create it.
You have a huge bag of clothes, of bad weather clothes with you.
Yeah, you carry a couple of sets, don't you? Yeah.
Kingdoms combined, and I am the warden.
Sometimes if you know you've got to do it, you really do dress for it, don't you? That's something like in Iceland. I love it billows.
Yes.
What's your name?
And it must be difficult with the crew all standing around in their big puffer jackets and,
Open it.
I mean, their costumes are reasonably warm, and we put so many thermals and everything underneath, but, yeah.
Son of Roose Bolton, Warden of the North.
He's going to be quite extraordinary, I think, next season as well.
Oh, absolutely.
Bruce.
You honour me.
He's such a scary character.
I will uphold your name and your tradition. I will be worthy of you, Father.
Shades of grey and brown. But I love the whole landscape, everything about that is just this sort of very muted landscape, very muted colours. Yeah, those little the flags just lifting it.
Look at them.
Well, the muted landscape, we actually had to do a little bit of that in post because...
But then it's great that you do. Was it very green?
Very, very green. And
it's great that you do.
Game of Thrones is not green.
No.
How many horses did you actually have, Annette?
The ones that we had quite a few, yeah.
Yeah.
They're so well trained, though, aren't they?
It's amazing, isn't it?
I don't think that was... I think this was all in camera. That was not a visual effect shot.
The music, I have to say, also has been amazing on this.
Yes.
This, I mean, it's always good, but this season's been excellent.
This too, Deb. I'm so happy with
This is one of our proudest moments.
I love it, but it's
I remember this
3
so
feet
clearly.
wide.
Yeah, I remember because this is actually set on a rostrum at the top of some get-up stairs that get you onto the old Erie set. And I remember very, very early when I'd first met Alex and Anette, showing them the space where this was going to be, and Alex just stood there and said, "You're kidding." And I said, "No, this is what we've got." And he was like, "You're kidding." But it actually worked really well.
No, it works really, really well. And you know what that scene wants. I mean, you know, if you had to move around with it, then it wouldn't have worked.
Only because it's a quiet scene can you do it.
But it's also like, you know, just to the left of her, there's
nothing.
Better to gamble on the man you know than the strangers you don't.
Do you think sometimes out of restrictions like that actually come really quite wonderful pieces? That if you had more to work with, then maybe it would have been different, or not?
There's certainly something to be said for it.
Yes, you know. You can't always generalize it, but, you know, it's good to work with restrictions and trying to make it work. And I think that shows Alex's talent or everybody's talent that they can pull it off. But sometimes you can't pull it off. But here we were able to, so
I quite like
happy.
it sometimes, just being actually like, you have to in this time, and something sometimes comes out. You're right.
And it's amazing to go from, you know, such a small scene into such a vast landscape.
And we are here in Iceland now, right? Oh, I can't pronounce it.
I can't remember. Yes, I can't pronounce it either. But
awesome location.
Where
we did a lot of cheating, like because we shot this sequence at a different wall than when they walk around, and worked out quite well.
Aren't the Hound and Arya brilliant?
Oh yes,
in season 4, yeah.
They are wonderful. And later in 10, when he looks such an impress. With this ever disintegrating costume. That costume is one of our worst nightmares. It falls apart every day. But we can't change it because that's his costume. We actually run behind him, was just collecting rings as they fall off.
Really?
And have to
I never knew. I never noticed.
Oh, it's such a nightmare. It was something we did really early on, and we wouldn't use that material again, but we can't change it. So.
Family, honour, all that horse shit. It's all you lot.
You have an enormous team working with you too, don't you? You have armourers and...
Oh yeah, it's pretty wide. Biggest team I've ever worked with. And they make it possible, you know, as all of our teams do. It's like, it's very much...
I think that's one of the best things, actually, about working in this industry is the teams that you get to work with.
And the talent of those people.
Absolutely, and the team that we have on, I mean, camera team, camera lighting, grip team on Game of Thrones is just the best.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, between Wolf, there's one sort of like crew, and Dragon is a little bit different, but it all comes together, like, really.
There's a sense of pride in what everyone does as well, because everyone knows that you want it to be great. There's very little of that will do.
Exactly.
Because I don't think any of us promote that.
For the highest, best.
I think because everyone does. You know, you don't want to be the weak link.
No. But I think Dan and David are very much, you know, in the situation where they've been able to inspire, you know, all of the rest of the crew.
Absolutely.
And our producers as well, you know.
Yeah.
They don't accept second best either.
Absolutely not. And that's great.
But it's always great to know that we're all of us are trying as hard as we can.
Oh yeah, and we have to.
Oh, and here she is.
Moment.
That's an Alex Graves moment. Like, you know, we talked a lot about that flare in the camera. And he had asked to put it in there, and
it made it not too obvious. I didn't want it to be a da-da moment. I wanted it to just be sort of something very cool in the way she is, and I think it worked really well in her sort of revealing. And again, it was a costume that was supposed that you always have to believe she could have made it. It's like, what's to hand? There's crows, so there's black feathers, and there's so I had to make it out of things that she really had on hand. Otherwise, why would it suddenly be this big jewel dress? It had to be really practically made into something extraordinary.
And did Sophie just love it?
Yes, it was her favourite dress.
I bet it was.
But I mean, that was the big thing, that she has this huge transformation, and she did make that dress. And I remember, I know we're on a different scene, but I remember I was sitting on that set, like that really narrow one, and I just looked at the fabric, the lining that you had put in there, and it was all like ripped up.
Yes.
And I thought, like, it's in the lining, and it's still so much detail in the lining. It's just, it blew me away. It really was amazing.
I just like doing things properly. I want people to suddenly, you ask them to stand on their head, it would be okay.
Okay, here we are.
Fratricide is brothers.
Do you like this scene?
I do, actually. I think it's a great scene to have.
Particularly when we know what's coming.
Exactly. And some people questioned it.
They did, the length of it. They were questioning.
And I always like time, actually, and that's why I like really long shots that are not cut. And I actually like a scene that just has time to breathe. So for me, it was really important.
Yeah, I remember it took me a while to understand what's going on in the scene, because, like, there's so many things are being talked about, and then about the bug and stuff like that. But it's still, it's the fear of what's coming, and you just try to...
it's a distraction, going back to childhood. It's like a moment that you shared a long time. I just love that sort of almost out of context, something you can just suddenly talk to your brother about that no one else would know. And it's just a moment that probably might happen. And that's what I like of the reality of it. It's a sort of strange, and I think that's why the writing is so clever.
But I stayed with Olsen. Why? I was curious. Why was he smashing all this?
And it's important, I think, for us to see the way these brothers react together. And sometimes you see a little, really little of why they are close or what their background is. And I think it just gives us a little insight to that.
Well, and such a big event is about to happen too. They're sharing the last moments together, They're just killing time together. And it's wonderful too, Jamie's keeping him company.
Yeah. It's, on so many levels, I think it works as a scene.
Turns out far too much has been written about great men, and not nearly enough about morons.
But poor Tyrion spends a lot of time in this cell in season 4, doesn't he, Annette?
Yeah. Yeah, he spends the whole season in the cell until he gets out right here.
Oh, but when he gets out...
Again,
and then
small
he gets
scene.
Put back in there, right?
Men watch animals to come to a deeper understanding of their behaviour.
Strange how the hair's got less and less blonde.
Right. More and more curly.
Yeah, I like how his hair evolved. It looks really good.
How do you work with hair and makeup? What's the process like?
It's actually it's pretty close. I mean, we talk about. I mean, I now send a lot of drawings to Kev, and he sort of say what he wants to do. I mean, sometimes it clashes slightly. Things stick on things, and but we do actually we do talk a lot about what where things should be and what he's planning for a season and the direction we'll go in. So in the first couple of seasons, I mean, often my collars are too high for his wigs and things like that. It's like, hurrah! And we actually get on really well. So now we actually try and work really closely together and say, actually, let's try it. And we've just made time to do that. But then sometimes late casting and, it's quite tough.
I bet.
Yeah, I mean, Kevin's art, how he sculpts those wigs in these hairdos is just...
I just think he's incredible, actually. I mean, I love his work. I particularly love what he does with Dana's hair and the plaiting. I just think he's so clever, and I love the sort of strange asymmetric stuff he does. And he's so incredibly creative. And that's why I really like working closely with him. And it's good too, because we solve problems that way.
Weeping for their shattered little bodies. Tried to stop Olsen once.
And it tells so much about a character as well. We'll plan how a costume will drift back a certain way, and he'll do the same with the hair, so you can see where their allegiance is lying or where their mental state is. It's quite sort of interesting.
I didn't know that you guys have that much collaboration.
Oh, we talk a lot.
Yeah, you see, I'm on set.
Yeah.
I only see when it's finished.
We're back in our trucks.
I don't know what you guys had to go through, and with Deb,
of course,
there's a lot of interaction between camera and the production.
Of course. I mean, you do the records, and I never get to go on records.
No, you don't get to do those records.
Sad, hey?
Not. Depends how you look at it.
I went on one once. There was nothing for me. I mean, it's interesting to see the shots, but actually, you can send me, the locations. But there's nothing for me.
Nothing that you can't see of a picture.
Exactly. Just colours and things, and the light actually is often good.
Whereas we have to stand there and say, like, okay, there's going to be this wall there, and that's going to be that wall.
And they enter from over there, and then
nothing is there.
And then we all stand in.
Kev and I chatting over a cup of coffee on the truck. So the hair would do this? Here we are.
Now, Deb, talk about this set, because if I may say, okay, first where we are, and then now.
Okay, so we're in Croatia, and we're in Dubrovnik, and this is shot in the Hotel Belvedere, which was bombed during the Croatian Civil War for Independence in the early 90s.
Yeah.
And when we first arrived, it was covered in graffiti, wasn't it, Annette? And it's a 1980s hotel, so it had all of those features. And it was a lot of work to turn it into an element of King's Landing.
Yeah, I mean, when I saw the first pictures when we went on location scout for that, I thought, like, you gotta be kidding me. Like, what's happening here?
And I remember...
And then it was like, negotiating. How far up can we, look up? No, come on, another story. So here we see everything, which originally we were not supposed to see, right?
But I remember saying to Alex, but it has really good bones.
Yeah. And we were like, yeah, we couldn't see beyond the bones.
You thought I was like the new crazy girl.
My God. Yeah, you transformed that into something so amazing, and
I loved
your
this.
team here and your team in Croatia with Christina and the art director was just, you all pulled something amazing off there.
Absolutely, and all praise to Christina Moore and the greensmen and the set deck and our painters and plasterers and the the sigil that you see painted on the...
That was beautiful, wasn't it? I saw that being painted when I arrived, actually.
Yeah. It was a huge, huge team effort. But it was a huge challenge for you, though, too, wasn't it, Annette? Because there's challenges that you had because of the sun here.
Yeah, I mean, we actually shot the whole sequence, following the sun, so we would be mostly able to keep it backlit. That, again, with Alex, that's fine. We were talking, okay, in the morning we're shooting this side, in the afternoon we're shooting this side.
I'm going to hear you confess before you die.
How many days did you shoot this?
I think we had 3 days.
3 days,
yeah.
Children, say it now and we...
I remember when we were seeing the fight rehearsal for the first time, when after the stunt guys had created the sequence, and how acrobatic this fight is. There you are. There you go. We were just like, oh my God, and we were all applauding.
Yeah.
I had never seen anything like that.
I thought it was incredible.
That fight is so unique.
Yeah.
And I really, really hope that we can continue this, because we have more in Dorn as well this year again. That this is their style of fighting.
Yeah.
That's what I'm hoping for, that we get to see more of that.
We ended up, actually, it's funny, because Pedro had rehearsed a lot in this, and we softened it and softened it. It was still quite stiff. In the morning of this, we actually ripped out the whole lining of his armour.
Oh, yeah?
Just because we kept saying because again, it's working with the actor, and he was trying, and I just said, let's strip it out. So it made it much more supple, because he still couldn't really be, and we just oiled it, but you can see actually now it really moves with him. And obviously he had a stunt guy, but he still did a lot of it himself.
Yeah, he did a lot.
Yeah.
He was really, really good.
I miss him, actually. I'll miss him so much as an actor.
Me too.
He was
what a great character.
Oh, he was a fabulous person.
There we are.
I love the expression on the different people's faces. You say, leave it, Pedro.
Yes,
just leave
well
it.
enough alone,
I know,
please.
move away.
But he had to get his revenge.
But he
there
had
you
to
go.
do it. And he's
Revenge
going,
has
no.
to happen.
Say it.
And I think we were all pleading, even though we knew this was going, just walk away. And I think she's a fabulous in this. I can't wait for her next season as well, actually. This is such a powerful piece. The squishing head is particularly hideous.
Say it. Say her name.
And the passion which he has it. No.
There go his teeth.
And when she just screams, it's just
Yes, it's just...
I killed her children. Then I raped her. Then I smashed her.
It's so difficult to watch, isn't
It
it?
is,
Even
it's
though
really
we
hard.
know that it's
I
a
know.
prosthetic or whatever.
That moment.
Oh, look at her.
It actually makes me cry. It's just so awful.
And
so
now
awful.
look at Cersei.
Look at her. Look at Cersei.
Nice shot there.
Yeah.
From the operator.
yes.
Tyrion Lannister.
Oh.
In the name of King Tommen of the House Baratheon, first of his name, you are hereby sentenced to death.
Great episode.
Yes.
What a great episode.
I think it is one of a really great episode. There's just so much in there, hey? Anyway, you are?
So I'm Deborah Riley, the production designer, and what an honour to be sitting here
with Michele Clapton, who's a costume designer, who's a great honour to be sat with
Annette Haellmigk, the director of photography of this episode.
Well
and
done.
Really a pleasure for sitting with you gals.
Yeah, all in the same
to
place.
talk about our work.
And thanks to all of our teams too.
Yes,
absolutely.
God, wouldn't be possible without them.
And to Dragon Crew, to Wolf Crew, all amazing teams, and thank you for the support.
Absolutely.
Yeah, you come from another country with a team, like you work with two teams, don't know anybody, but respect, and you get the professionalism, which is amazing.
Absolutely. And they become a bit like family now that we know that we've all been here. Well, you've been here a season now, I've been here for far too long, and you've been here. And actually you get to know.
And we've got fantastic team in Belfast, fantastic team in Croatia, and it's just an honor to be
Iceland
part
as
of it.
well, and
yes,
in
absolutely.
the years before in
Wish
Morocco.
I was going there again. I love Iceland.
Well done.